Hi, this is my 34th video. First of all, I just want to thank anybody who's been leaving comments, um, watching my videos. I hope they're um, making some kind of impact and helping somebody. I know that the day I found out about target individual and started going through some of the testimonies, it helped me understand. And I think if I never got a chance to look at it or watch, read, or listen to any of the testimonies, I could have been in the psych ward at this point, or even worse. I think being aware helped me a lot. Being able to, uh, to hear and validate that this is not me, and understanding that this is a template that's used across a lot of the the targeting and what it is targeting, and who's impacted by it, and how big it is, and how global it is, and how local it is. I would have, it definitely helped me, and I hope my videos are doing the same. So as you see, I still have still trying to protect my identity, and that's because I'm still functioning in the society, and I'm still try to maintain a incognito identity, and because although my employer is aware and is participant of this targeting, that I don't want to give them an excuse or make it easy for them. I know when a target individual talks about what's happening to them, it sounds like they're schizophrenic. I know that there's a lot of false diagnosis, and that's what this technology is supposed to be doing. So today I just want to talk about the nonsensical tactics they're using to try to break me into believing this absurd persona. And it's I've talked a lot about the V2K, because at this point V2K is really what is breaking me the most. Lately they've been using a lot of the directed energy weaponry, and that's because the V2K on its own, although is tormenting at some point, it's just I'm not submitting to this false persona. And so what they're trying to do is applying a lot of more of the directed energy weaponry to force me to accept. It's basically torture, as pure torture. As you know, torture when you try to either force somebody to say something or force somebody to change or accept. Torture is not usually, it's a tool used to break somebody and try to force them to accept something. When you hear like a lot of those false confessions, is based, it's because there would be people were tortured into it, being to the point where they just give up and accept it, and they condition you to via those pain to accept this idiotic way of thinking. And today I just in this video specifically I want to talk about how they're some of the nonsensical way of thinking they've been targeting me and using these mental games and trying to have me mental battle myself, and using these V2K tactics to break me and to demean me and to try to make me believe something that I know they to them is a game. So it's how far is he gonna go with it? Is he gonna accept this BS that we're planting, this degrading stuff they do? So it's, I wish I could just talk about everything they playing in my head, and but it is so idiotic that I'm just gonna talk about certain things but leave out a few because it's just also graphic and disgusting. But today I just want to focus on the nonsensical games they're playing with my state of mind. So I've always talked about what degrading stuff they do, how they implant different imagination, to degrade, obviously, how they break your way of thinking, the patterning, how they make you think in a very idiotic way, uh, and make you, because of the isolation, it's also, you just you lose touch of reality, and without reality, when you're surrounded with perps, which is the case. I have perps, that lives with me. Every other month, there's new perps that move in, some moving out, and they're all like younger, early to mid 20s crew of men and women. The younger, the more idiotic the stuff are, which makes sense. And when it comes to V2K, which is where you can hear more of the clear voice, they use the same young people, and they try to sound like they are this like menacing voice. I know that to them it's just a game. I see some of them, they're just barely adults, and they try to vilify in the most idiotic way, and they repeat the same things. Repetition is used, as many of the targeting have experienced the same thing, to try to break you. It's like old school brainwashing, where they just repeat and hope that you grasp. Also to block out the truth. They use things that trigger you to lose attention, and they also try to get frustration out of you. They're trying to make you mad if you ignore it. That's when they use a lot of the directed energy weaponry. That's when I feel pain points from like my groin area, from my kidneys. Heartbeat is beating faster sometimes, breathing, my voice, my throat, and different. My feet are, it's very common. Seems that that's something they do often with target individuals, where they just target feet a lot, and targeting legs, feet, genitals. Genitals is another big thing they use to break the target individual, according to the different testimonies I've heard. It's just not only me, but it appears that that's something they like to do with a lot of the target individuals, from men, women, even children, which is disturbing and so on. But that kind of speaks on how low they will go, how disturbed they are, and there's nothing too low for them. There's nothing too wrong for them. There's nothing too it's disturbing to them. They will do that to a child. They'll do that to a woman. They'll do that to a woman with a child, a single woman. Like there's nobody who's too vulnerable for this. Anybody can be targeted, and by the same people. I always talk about the perps. For me, none of them look like dangerous people. It's just, I think, regular civilians. But I think this program is also meant to do that. They're not just gonna get always the perps are not gonna be those menacing looking people. They're just everyday people who benefit from this in one way or another. Some of them are young professionals. Some of them are just parents, which is crazy to believe that, some decent, so-called decent human beings, decent people would partake in this. But if you look at history, if you look at some of the atrocity that have happened in the world, the people that partake in those atrocity, when it came to perhaps genocides or other things, they were regular civilians, and they were participants. Just because we're in 2000s, and society has grown, and we're still the same humans, and so regular individuals can be compromised by different ways. One, they dehumanize the target, just like they used to do that in the past, when they did terrible things to people. They dehumanize them to the point where the perps don't see them anymore as human. They think there's something else but human. This is something they used to do in the past. So when you see somebody who seems to be so sensible that and wonder, well, how would they be able to partake? Just understand it's been done in the past, and without that type of technology, propagandas, and this is old school ways of compromising regular people, regular Joes. So for me, when I see somebody that I'm not fooled by the psyops, I'm not fooled by how they present themselves. I understand that anybody can be compromised. Not anybody, but some people have better, more grounds and able to. But I'm saying somebody that you would think not partake in this can definitely take that. Can definitely partake in that. You hear a lot of testimonies about women targeting individuals that are being targeted by other women. That's hard to believe that another woman would do these atrocities to another, to a woman. But it's the case. People with kids will do that to kids, and that's, I've been informing myself about it and learning more about how people can do certain things. And this is without this technology. This is technology that can play with people's brain, way of thinking. So just based on basic propaganda, people can be turned into monsters and not know, and still think that they're normal. And it's they don't realize that they crossed the line, or they've gone too far and it's not coming back. And by the time they realize what they've done, it's too far gone. They've done so much that they continue. So to all my target individuals, when you see somebody that you can't believe is involved, just remind yourself that this is part of the program. This is a very sophisticated program. Obviously, being this sophisticated, having this level of resources only means that powerful people in the government are the architectures of this program. No matter who you see, but the type of technology that's been developed for years, decades. If you see just perps and you see how organized this is, and you see how globally it is done, it just makes sense that the people on top of that, the people, regardless how you got into the program, at the end of the day, the people who manage this are people that up there. So I know who put me on this. Thankfully, I know who put me on this in this program. I know it's my old employer. I know this employer was very powerful connections in the government, and so for me, I know, but others will never know how they ended up there on this list. But let's just accept that this is something that's controlled by people at a high level, for this level of the resource. But with that being said, there's a lot of gaslighting that goes with my targeting, which is done by perps. Also, the V2K, which synthetic telepathy, which has been the main cause of a lot of my torments. Me dealing with the gang stalkers is not that painful. It doesn't torment me as much as when the V2K plays with my thoughts and do those degrading things to me, which consist of intrusive thoughts, idiotic thinking process. It's as if my rationale has been, and I've talked about it in a previous video about the patterning, which is making you breaking the way you would think rationally and overriding that thinking process with this idiotic way of thinking. And this is meant to break you and kind of prove to you that these intrusive thoughts are just natural thinking, and that you should vilify yourself to think this way, or when that's them controlling you and you managing you and managing the way you think and degrading you. So today I just want to talk about one specific latest of the non-sensical. Lately they've been playing with this thought of me me looking at something in a way that shouldn't be looked at. So growing up, one of my favorite artists was Aaliyah. Aaliyah is an R&B singer that died in 2002, 2001 when I was maybe 13 years old. She was 22. So that's about what 9 years different. And so as a typical kid, we all had the crushes on her. I grew up listening to her. Well, my sisters were listening to her, and they would mimic her, and so it's very nostalgic way, music to me. When I listen to it, it brings me back to when I was a kid. I was in elementary school when she was popular, and when she was when her video came out. So bear with me. This is a very specific way of their playing with my thoughts. And so lately they've been saying that the way I've looked at her, mind you, this is Aaliyah. If you don't know, the artist is a singer that when she was 15 and she died till 20 when she was 22. So from 15 to 22, that's where she really became big, and she died in 22. May she rest in peace. She was one of the best R&B singer at the time, and we all loved her. A lot of us loved her. And anyhow, so she blew up when she was mid-teen, and she was 15 or so. And the way they're trying to say is like what they're trying to make me think, and the way they're trying to play with my thinking process, and the nonsensical things they're trying to make me dwell on, is how I'm visualizing her. She was a teenager, and while you're not looking at her as such, mind you, she's 9 years old. She was 9 years older than me. So during the time I was watching her videos, I was 9 years younger than her. So when she was 16, I was probably not even 10, or when I was watching she was I was 10, she was in the teen. So they're trying to make me vilify myself for perceiving her that way when I was a child. And then when I try to remind myself of how she looked, of how I was feeling when I was watching her as a kid, my perception is manipulated. They can control the way I perceive things. It's so incredible. They have so much control of my way of thinking, of my perceptions. And I keep talking about perception, but it's just every time I talk about it, I amaze myself that this is something real. They have such a complex control of my brain that they can control the way I see things. And so when I see her, it's just one, it's hard for me to see her as I would have seen her, which is this 15-year-old or 17-year-old when some of the best music came when she's probably 17 or whatever, that appeared to look like an adult, which that was the thing about her. She made herself look older than she was. She was just a child, but she made herself appear like she was an adult. And me, as as somebody who's turning, who's in his early 30s, would see that with my own perception, but I would still enjoy her music because she's such a part of my my pre-teens and even my early teens. And they say, you see, you're looking at her like she's an adult, but she's not. But of course, I know she's not an adult, although she presented herself as an adult. But mind you, she's she was acting older than what she was really, and that was how it was back in the days. But it's still somebody that, and mind you, she was 9 years older than me. So they're playing this perception, one, of me when I was a child, and two, I'm not able to see her as I would be able to see her if I was in my own mind, if I wasn't hacked, my perception wasn't hacked. and they try to put this perverse way of me looking at her. It's just disturbing. I even get stimulations, arousal, just by even a glimpse of her. And this is so disgusting because one, to me, she was always somebody that she's Aliyah. She's almost like it's just something that to me when growing up just so nostalgic and gave me so much good memories, and now it's turning into these perverse things. And they if you know about her story, she about as young as she was with some with R. Kelly, and they call me Robert Kelly because that's the persona they're trying to to make me think of, make the persona they're trying to overlay. And it's just so ridiculous that they would try to use that, and every time I listen to her, which would usually give me this nostalgic sense of feeling and just brings me back to when I saw my sisters dressed like her, and when I was 13, like this. But the way they trying to present her is just like this, they stimulate me in different ways. I cannot even perceive her the way I would perceive her at this age, which is a super talented singer that died too soon, and that was super young, a teenager, but made herself appear like an adult. And she tried to sexualize herself too early, but at the same time, that was what she was going for. That was her way to to present herself. But with that being said, it was still Aaliyah, the loved singer, R&B singer of late 90s and early 2000s. And now it's just like I've self-vilified myself. My brain is doing that. It's trying to vilify me for me seeing her that way and trying to create this false persona. It makes no sense. But with the thinking process of the V2K, and mind you, this is Aaliyah. Aaliyah is renowned R&B singer, and they're really trying to torment me on this. And this is one of the things they have done, even more tormenting stuff. Some of the things they do is during some of their vulnerable times, moments when I'm alone, I have my personal time, and the things I have to do to the things I have to do because the humiliation they have done to me. And to add to the humiliation, sometimes they insert imagery of things that are not what I'm seeing, but they're able to insert those things just to degrade me, just to humiliate me even more. And you can imagine what those things are. Things that you don't want in your head. Things that have been the same theme that they've been saying. The same theme that's been said by other target individuals when regard of degradation. And I don't want to even say those words, but you I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. Those kind of things are implanted in my head, and sometimes at the times when you don't, it's already humiliating that people are watching you in this moment, but to add to the humiliation, they add those disturbed imagery into your head. So, and then they try to have those nonsensical thinking ways to make you vilify yourself for vilify yourself for having those planted thoughts in you, which is they're planting those imagery in your mind. So it's all gaslighting, it's all tormenting, it's all mental game. So you have those mental battles, and so you can break, or so you can vilify yourself, or you see yourself in a bad light. It's a game that they play with. It's always going to be some degrading stuff. It's gaslighting, the concept of gaslighting, where they implant this false narrative and with systematic manipulation, trying to make the target individual identify to this BS, which they all know is BS, and they know more than you because one, they are the ones partaking in this targeting of you, of your person. So, to all my target individuals, this is very specific to me. They play different games and try to make you accept this false persona they overlay, which is something you can hear over and over by a lot of target individuals. They also apply pain points. They play with your toes. They, they hurt your toes. They make you feel like it's something is burning. They poke places. They make you feel different pains in the kidneys and liver. And the more you are not willing to submit to it, the more you ignore them, then they start using more of the directed energy weaponry. It's basically with pain used to force you to accept this BS. And constantly trying to make you reflect on the humiliating things they've done to you, and trying to have your non-sensical way of thinking, which is driven by them, for you to make yourself accept and identify to this BS persona. It's a lot of complex manipulation of the brain, and mind you, I'm not a neuroscientist. The reason why I'm able to somewhat describe what's happening to me is because when I hear the other testimonies from all the variant targets from all over the world, when I listen to a testimony from somebody all the way in Lithuania or in Australia or in Austria, saying the same thing and talking about the same type of mind games and imaginations implanted, and I can relate to that. That's why I'm able to talk about it and accept that this is how they go about it. It's just first of all, your privacy is gone, but that's not the issue. Me losing my privacy is not the biggest part. What they do is how they can degrade you in the most vulnerable moments. In the most vulnerable moments, from when you're in the restroom, from when you're having your own personal time with yourself, or when you're with somebody in an intimate, they can implant things and make you feel disturbing, things, and make you feel, make implant things that are so disturbing in your imagination, and control your imagination and control your stream of thoughts, and so, in all purpose to just break you. And then they try to say, we're gonna present that to the world, so they're gonna see you as this false persona, the Robert Kelly and whatever BS they're trying to create. And then they try to depattern your thinking process by saying, like, we have all these proofs that you've done that, you followed this person on Snapchat, this in 2014, you did so, things are just so idiotic, and erase a lot of your memories, implant a lot of false narratives. It's just a non-stop game. So to just to wrap up this video, I want to say to all target individuals, be strong. They want to try to break you and break who you are. Some of you only experience the gaslighting, which is the perps, which is rough, on its own. But at least with that, just listen to all the different testimonies and know that they're just trying to break you, just trying to make your life hard. To the ones that dealing with V2K like I am, and plus the gaslighting, this is even a harder battle to go with, to deal with. But we have to be strong, and we have to understand that they're trying to break who we are, and and change us into this thing that they hope that we can accept, but we, never submit. No matter how they appear, they have this false flagging appearance that usually it's far from what they are. For me, I kept saying they have, especially early on, they have this like appearance, this psyop appearance of like early 20s, mostly women at first, very socially awake, progressive individuals, and they're there to fight for the good cause and to avenge all I've done to all these women. And we're there to that was the earlier BS, but as I found out that there's so many women that are being targeted by other women or just targeted by perps, that kind of fade away into now just this a lot of younger, this just both genders, and there's no specific look anymore. Anybody is a perp, but they will create this false narrative even in that regard, where they present this image of who they are. Some of them sometimes they use specific races, specific genders, specific age group, but it's all BS. It's all a psyop. What you see is definitely not what's the truth. There's a lot of deception, and so I've accepted that. And it's hard to do that when you see people that you would think that they would be respectable, sensible individual doing it, but as I said, this is meant to gaslight you and make you think that you're something else. And when you see those sensible people that you generally accept what they say as the truth, or people that won't lie, or people that won't do things that wrong, it's hard to maintain maintain the fact that they're trying to change you, and that's part of the game. So to target individuals, do not be fooled by who you see doing it. Anybody can be part of that. Remember who's behind this thing. And just because you see some older women, family women, with kids trying to harm you, or you see young professional, sensible professional, or you see people who don't look menacing partaking in that, and don't wonder. This is what they do. It's psyops. It's a game. Most of the time they use people who don't appear dangerous. They are regular people, but are still partaking in it. For me, some coworkers would partake, and this is a story that you hear with a lot of target individuals, where they get people from their workplace participating and saying things, and saying trigger things, and perhaps enjoying seeing you suffer, or saying stuff like that, when and as a woman, or somebody else, or somebody who thinks that that doesn't make sense, you wonder, how is it possible that they can partake in this? Do they not know what's happening, and why would they do that? I've gone I've passed that phase where I know that anybody can partake, and what helped me too is just understanding how everyday citizen can be part of atrocities. And as I mentioned earlier in this video, is in the past it's been done minus this technology. When you hear about what happens in other countries, and you hear massacres are done by people, by their neighbors, or you hear about even the atrocities such as atrocity that happened in the Holocaust. Some of the people that partake in it were family members, or family men and women that had kids, and that they were smart. They were not just idiots. They weren't just people who were psychopaths. They were regular people, but they did some atrocities. And watching that, there's one part, one of the person presenting this documentary and talking about his book, saying that at some point these regular people cross the line and became evil, but they didn't know they were evil. In their mind, they didn't see that as that, because they're able to reconfigure their way of thinking and dehumanize this person to the point where it doesn't trigger. They don't. It doesn't trigger it to them. It's like, we just, we're daredevils. We're there a little bit, but they don't see the whole picture, because at this point they have reconfigured the way of thinking. So this is what's happening here when you see decent people partaking in this. They used to be decent people partaking in this and just thinking this is a game, because they have dehumanized and they have reconfigured the way of thinking so they can be okay doing what they do, where they can go back home and take care of their family, be regular people again. So, to my targeted individuals, stay strong. Don't fall for this nonsensical way of thinking. It's not you. You might not have control of how it goes in you, but remember, you're not what they're trying to make you. Whatever degrading stuff that you're enduring, I'm enduring a lot of degrading stuff. Do not fall for it. I have felt at some point, sometimes, some days it's rougher than others, but at the end of the day, I find strength in watching other videos of other testimonies, and some days, even watching my own videos as a reminder of this is just one of the gaslighting tactics. They will degrade you. They were trying to make you think of yourself as trash, when the truth is they are what they're calling you. And they know, but they have reconfigured themselves into thinking otherwise. So stay strong. Don't harm yourself, and know that justice will be done one way or another. It might not be today, it might not be tomorrow, but it will happen. In the meantime, remember that you have more dignity in your pinky than they have in their whole life. Whatever they call you, whatever status you're in right now, whatever hurt you're in right now, whatever pain you're in right now, that it means nothing. You are still better than whatever they are. They can laugh it off, but I guarantee at some point they won't be able to look at themselves in the mirror. So God bless you. Stay strong. Thank you.